Hello and welcome to Andy's Attic. Not in the attic today, it's a bit cold up there, so I'm here in the kitchen. Today we're going to take a look at a set from 1991, the halcyon days of 9-volt Lego railways. This is the Lego Metroliner set. Originally issued as set 4558, it comprised 739 parts. It proved to be so popular that Lego reissued it in 2001 in the dying days of the Lego 9-volt era. The set that was re-released in 2001 had 737 parts, and that comprised two end coaches, one which was powered with a motor and one which wasn't, and a middle coach. These, I'm afraid, are the sorry remains of what was once a very exciting Metroliner set. I say sorry remains because it's not really complete. The first thing you notice about the so-called power locomotive is that the bogie underneath it is not powered. So in order to get it working, you'd have had a 9-volt electric motor. You just clipped it underneath, stuck it on your metal 9-volt rails, and off you went. I've tried to adapt my set for the battery era, which is where we have plastic track, with not a lot of success. And some of the parts are really hard to find now. You'll notice the colour of this. It's a light grey, but it's not the light bluish grey that we know and love now. This is the original grey, which is no longer available, so none of these parts will be manufactured now. And some of the parts were so rare that they only occurred in the Metroliner set. So that's the motor coach. Then we've got a passenger coach, which you can see there. This one looks pretty complete, so I'm reasonably happy with that one. It's got the buffers on, it's got the magnets on. That's pretty much ready to go. If only I had a 9-volt motor and 9-volt track to run it on. And here we have the other motor coach. You notice the bogies are completely different on this one, and this is where my supply of spare parts was beginning to run out, because you'll see here this is supposed to be a full grey window, and I've had to replace that, and the same on the other side, because the original grey windows are just so hard to find. I think I've managed to track down a couple in Germany which are £3 each, but then of course you've got to pay for them to be sent overseas and delivered from Germany to mainland Britain, which is where I am. But essentially here though we've got almost a complete running set minus the motor. So what can I do about that? Well, this is what I can do about that. Again, with the few parts I've been able to cobble together, I've actually managed to adapt this quite easily and put a modern battery box inside there. We've got a remote control receiver on the top. So this should work with the power functions, which is why I put a power functions motor underneath it instead of the original 9-volt one. And it's got couplings front and rear, so hopefully if I connect that up to the rest of the Metroliner train, and replacing obviously one of the original power cars with this one, and then get out my remote control receiver, hopefully this will run. But you can see that I am a few parts short of a full Metroliner set here, because no train window there, and again the very hard to find original grey windows are completely missing from my collection, so they're missing from my train on both sides. But in theory, if I got the right windows as spare parts and put batteries in the battery box, maybe this will run on my track. Maybe we'll have to do that sometime. Such was the popularity of the Metroliner set that Lego introduced a club car. And again, this was first introduced in 1993, just a year or so after the original Metroliner set. And because it was so popular, when Lego did a re-release under their 9-volt Legend series in 2001, once again they issued a club car. It had around about 273 parts, and you could run this with the original train. Again, this is my sorry representation of the club car, because it has some differences. And the first thing that you might notice is the glass. I've used blue tinted glass simply because the original parts, particularly for the upstairs, these original windows here are very difficult to find in clear glass, so I've replaced them all with blue glass, and to be honest that was quite difficult to find. The other thing that is obviously missing from this is the stripes. There's a gap in the stripes. blue, white and red stripes run from the right, and then there's a brick which has no stripes on. Such a brick was only made by Lego for this particular set, and you can find it on the internet, but to replace 4 bricks, 2 on this side, 2 on the other side, with the original brick, whether you get it from Bricklink or eBay or whatever, it's going to cost you the best part of £20 or £30. So I decided to pass on this, and perhaps I'll just use some insulation tape in different colours and hand make something to fill that gap. Otherwise, this club car is reasonably complete if you don't mind the blue tinted windows. The other feature of this club car which made it very, very popular was that the upstairs was very, very easy to open. It's on a hinge, and the hinge is at the bottom, and you can just pull it down. And there, if you wanted to put people inside, you can. It's hinged on both sides. Opens up fully so you can put people inside. Very, very innovative design, very innovative feature, and it's a shame that the original transparent window hinges are no longer available. Well, there's been a bit of a delay while I try and sort out some power and find some batteries. On the left hand side is one of the controllers which someone had sent me through the post, but unfortunately they kept the batteries in it, so I don't know whether you can see, but if you can't see, I'll tell you, the battery terminals are very corroded because the batteries had leaked. So that controller was no good, so I pulled down a second controller which seemed to work. I've got a battery box, I put batteries in there, which has made it quite heavy. So this is the big drawback of these power functions, or even the newer powered up trains. They rely on batteries, and batteries are not environmentally friendly. Lego Group, you should take notice. At least the old 9-volt trains and 9-volt motors did not use batteries, and we have a problem with batteries. However, with the extra weight, with the new batteries, let's see if my Metroliner can have some new life breathed into it. Well, I have to say I'm quite nervous about running it on the track. However, batteries are in, controller is in, press the green light, see what happens. Well, it's going backwards. I don't really want it to go that way, so let's just stop it. I really want the motor to be near the front rather than pushing, so we'll try it again. Oh my goodness. Well, I think you saw there the acceleration was absolutely amazing. In fact, it was so strong, stronger than the magnets, so the rest of the train got left behind. So let's send it back again. Oh my goodness, look at the speed of that. Bang! So strong, it's probably pushed the coach off the track. Maybe it's back on. No, I think that coach is really, really struggling, and it's derailed. So it didn't last very long, did it? It in fact really got to the first curve. The problem is the curves on the Lego track, as you can see, are very, very tight indeed, and there's just not enough movement in the bogies to enable them to go around the track. I'd already adapted the power car by putting a additional round circular piece in between the bogie plate and the base plate of the train, so that went round the curves okay, only for the others to derail. So I need to find some more parts to do some adaptations, and then we'll see if it will run again. Well, let's hope this works. These are the pieces which I hope are going to save my Lego Metroliner. I've already put one on there, and basically you can see that the bogie will just slot into that circle. The circle will be fixed to the train, but it will give enough clearance for the bogie to move and swivel right and left round the very tight Lego corners. I haven't done the second one, but you can see there on the bogie in the middle of this shot, that's as far as it turns. It's simply not enough for the track, and the one next to it, and the one next to it. So let's fit these round circular 4x4 pieces of Lego, and we'll see if that gives me any more curvature. There is a downside to using those circular pieces. It means the bogies go a little bit closer to the centre, and it means there's big gaps between the coaches. So here it is, the Metroliner is finally running. It will find its way around the very, very tight Lego curves, he says, as it just about grinds to a halt. Maybe that's the furthest point away. Yeah, furthest point away on the layout. And look at the big gaps between the coaches. That's purely because of the particular piece I had to use to elevate the bogie, or perhaps reduce the height of the bogie, increase the gap between the So the Metroliner is finally running on battery power. It is making its way around the very tight Lego curves quite smoothly. It's a shame about the gap between the coaches. Maybe I could find a different piece to insert between the base plate of the train and the bogie plate that's attached to the wheels. But actually it looks very, very smart indeed. Nice to see it going. Of course, normally this particular model was designed for the 9-volt metal tracks with a metal motor, but it does work. It does work on the plastic tracks with the 9-volt power functions motor and the battery box. Lovely to see, lovely to see. Obviously there's a few other trains on the layout at the moment. I haven't put batteries in those boxes, but if you fancy seeing one of the Santa Fe's running, there's a red one and a blue one in the distance. The other, if I zoom in, you can just about see the blue engine at the end of that. The motor for that is actually in the B unit, which is next to it. The B unit there houses a battery box and a remote control power functions receiver. And the red engine at the end is just a dummy. In the background behind the red one you can just about see a BNSF, a couple of BNSF locos. They're unfortunately too narrow to have a battery box in, so I'll have to get something to run them or build a B unit for those. In the background there's an elongated version of a subway train, the Spider-Man train, elongated with bigger wheels and with space for a battery box, so we could have that running at some stage. Moving around into the far corner, got a couple of the modular buildings there, the pet shop and the fire station and the corner garage, and a couple of My Own Train hopper wagons together with a My Own Train caboose. In the foreground here we've got perhaps the next one to get running, which is the Ghost train, which has been powered. Got a couple of versions of that Ghost train. One where I've put a power functions battery in and a remote control receiver in the engine itself, but also it's got a B unit which has also got a battery box and a power functions receiver in it, a bit like the Santa Fe has, and another Santa Fe over here. But that's it for today. That's the Metroliner running around the track. Great to see you. Bye for now.